Hey everyone, welcome back to the NPTE podcast. This is Will Crane, your host. Thank you so much for joining me as we go through the content you need in order to dominate on test day. So today we've got an episode dedicated to a brain dump and what in the world is the brain dump? How do you have an effective brain dump? But before we get to that, just a quick reminder to check us out over at ptfinalexam.com/podcast if you'd like to get updates for our latest cheat sheets, tips, tricks, everything to get you across the finish line. So be sure to check that out, ptfinalexam.com/podcast. Plus, you can check out all of our course offerings over at ptfinalexam.com. In August, we'll be starting up our VIP program again. So the VIPT program, this is a very robust, it is the one-stop shop for everything you need NPTE related. We take you through all the content, every section on the exam. We focus heavily on practice questions every time we get together. We have a bunch of live classes, as well as complimentary access to our crash course, our 6 practice exams, all of our written material. I mean, really, if you're looking for a one-stop shop, the VIP program is the one for you. So today we'll be talking through brain dumping and what it means to have an effective brain dump. We'll talk about some examples, plus if you want to participate in our free brain dump session, we do this before every NPTE administration. So this is for the July exam, which is coming up next week, but this would be equally applicable for the October exam, January, April, whenever it is that you are taking the test. Be sure to check us out, and you can sign up for that free event at ptfinalexam.com/podcast. Be sure to click the link there and it'll take you right to the free event, which we will hold right before exam day. And so as we get started today, let me just say thank you. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for the effort you put into becoming a good PT. I know that as you work and strive towards mastery of this content, it will help not just you, but your patients. It'll help your family for years to come. So thank you for the efforts that you put into becoming a proficient and professional PT. So our goal today, again, is talking about the exam. We'll be talking specifically about the brain dump and what it means to do a brain dump. And so consider this for a moment. As you attend or go to your NPTE appointment, you'll go to the Prometric Test Center. As you get to the Prometric Test Center, they give you, or first of all, you have to identify yourself. You have to have 2 forms of ID. They take your picture, your fingerprints. They want to make sure that you are not standing in for someone else. They want photographic evidence of who it is sitting in there taking the test. All of this is to protect exam security. So as you would imagine, on test day, it always takes a little while to get set and settled. And so one of the tools that you have access to on test day is what they call a brain dump. So on test day, they will give you a set of scratch paper. So the scratch paper, the scratch pad, is really just it's a dry erase pad. It's a laminated piece of paper that's used for quick notes, calculations, things of that nature. And it's something that they provide to you. You can't bring any outside material in, so they will provide it to you. And then you have to turn it in when you're done, so you can't take it out with you, show all your friends the questions that you had on the exam. It is to be used while you're in the test center. So they will give it to you on your way in. They give you a dry erase marker as well, so you can write on it. And once you get into the test center, this is one where I've had some different reports from different students. Some students in some centers report that they are able to begin writing on the brain dump immediately during their tutorial time. So you get 15 minutes of tutorial time. This is time to go through and learn how to click the mouse and advance the slide or advance the questions forward. It's meant to show you how to use the software in the computer. And so I've had some students who have been able to begin writing during that time. However, I've also had some students report that they were unable to do so because the test center staff said, no, you can't actually write on that until you've begun your first question. So be sure to check with your local staff just to make sure that you are following their local guidelines. But generally speaking, you probably won't be able to do it until you get to your first screen, until you get to your first question. So a brain dump is simply meant to be a quick review or a quick note on things that you feel like you may forget during the test. So for me, a couple of favorites are SPIT or SPIT for lymphedema. S is for subclinical, that's stage 0. P is for pitting edema, stage 1. Irreversible edema or spontaneously irreversible is stage 2. And then trunk-like is stage 3. That's the SPIT for stages of lymphedema. Another fun one are the cranial nerves. So as you consider the cranial nerves, the one I learned was on Old Olympus Towering Top, a finely vested German view to Hawk. There's lots of versions of that for cranial nerves on the olfactory, optic, ophthalmic, or the oculomotor. Getting my nerves mixed up here, but the olfactory, optic, oculomotor, trochlear, trigeminal, abducens, and so on. All of the cranial nerves, that's something that I like to put on there so that I could keep straight which one was cranial nerve 4 and which one was cranial nerve 6 and cranial nerve 11 and cranial nerve 12. It was very helpful. Even though I knew the cranial nerves, it was nice to be able to see it visually. Other things would be like fun little acronyms or mnemonics. Like another fun one is neuropraxia. It's coming backsia. So neuropraxia is very transient. It's when your leg falls asleep. And so neuropraxia, it's coming backsia. That's different than axontomesis and neurotomesis. Axontomesis is where the nerve gets pinched, but it doesn't all die. It just has to grow back. And then the neurotomesis is where you have a true cut or a scar on the nerve, which means essentially that it will not heal or not come back. But neuropraxia, it's coming backsia. The other thing your brain dump can be used for is for calculations. So a lot of times they'll ask you about calculating age-predicted heart rate related to, like, say, Carvonen method, the rate pressure product, where you have the heart rate multiplied by the systolic blood pressure, or the ankle brachial index. That's where your ankle blood pressure is divided by your brachial blood pressure. All of those are examples of things that you could use or would be required to calculate during the test. And so that's where your scratch paper can come in very handy. So when it comes to brain dumping, the key is to be very brief. And the irony about a brain dump is that the more you prepare what you'll put on it, it's less likely that you'll actually need it. And that's simply because you have prepared what you'll put on it. And so it's unlikely you'll actually refer to it because you forgot it. However, it is very handy for keeping things in their proper order or to keep everything straight. And so therefore, I do recommend you prepare what you put on your brain dump. Now, the great news is that those of you listening to this now on July 24th at 3 p.m. Eastern, we will be doing a free brain dump session. So this is for everybody, anyone who would like to attend. We'll talk about some key things to put on your brain dump. It'll be kind of fun going through some mnemonic devices, acronyms, things to potentially put on the brain dump. Now, you can register for that free event. You have to go to ptfinalexam.com/podcast, or you can find us on any of our social media channels where you'll find the direct link there. But ptfinalexam.com/podcast is the best way to register for that free brain dump session. And so what our goal will be during that session is simply to go through lots of mnemonic devices, acronyms, all the fun and quick ways to remember things so that on test day, you'll be less stressed. You'll be able to go through it on a more reasonable and, we'll just say, less stressful, less anxiety on test day. And let's be honest, the less anxiety you experience on test day, the better, simply because it's hard to focus, hard to be at your very best when you feel stressed and worried. And so that's our goal with the brain dump session, is to help you become less stressed and less worried. So the best way to get to that is, again, ptfinalexam.com/podcast, or you can find us over on any of our social media channels to be able to join that free webinar. So again, that's on Monday, July 24th at 3 p.m. Eastern. And it will be recorded and posted for all of our crash course participants. So you do have to be a member of our crash course to view the recording afterward. But if you'd like to participate live, you're certainly welcome to do so. There's no charge for that. Just come and have some fun. And come prepared to share some fun acronym that you've got too. That's also fun to be able to see what other acronyms and mnemonic devices other people have. So on test day, again, your brain dump is something that you cannot bring. You only get to bring what's in your head with you. So they give you the scratch pad. You jot it down during the first part of the test, and then you can refer back to it during the test. If you run out of room, they will provide to you more sheets. You just have to raise your hand and ask the proctor for more sheets for your brain dump. One funny little thing is when I was writing on mine, when I took my OCS exam, the Orthopedic Certification Specialty exam, I had my dry erase pad, and somehow, I'm not sure how I did it, but I managed to drop my dry erase pad. It bounced off my shoe and rolled all the way across the room. And so there I was. I had to raise my hand because you can't go rummaging around other people's desks during the test. I mean, that's just not permitted, to say the least. So you have to raise your hand. I raised my hand. The proctor came over and said, "What's up?" And I said, "Well, I dropped my marker and it rolled way over there." And so the proctor went and got it for me. But I guess word to the wise is hold on tight to your dry erase marker so you don't lose that, because that's an essential part of your brain dump, is being able to write that down. And again, they will provide all of that for you on test day. We'll talk a little bit more about your test mechanics here in a future episode, but we'll talk a little bit about what to do on test day, some suggestions for making test day as stress less as possible. But for now, I think we'll bring it to a conclusion with that. Be sure to join us for our brain dump session. That's the easiest way to grab that is go over to ptfinalexam.com/podcast. You can join us there for free. Again, the recording will be made available to our crash course participants as well as our VIP folks. Be sure to check that out. Plus, if you're looking for a very robust way to study for the test, be sure to check out the VIP program coming up starting in August. So all of that's available over at ptfinalexam.com. Find out everything you need to help you get ready for the NPTE. So with that, we'll bring it to a conclusion. Thank you for what you do. Have a happy and fun day. Keep a grin on your chin. Happy studying, and I'll catch you all in the next episode. Thanks.